Green District, the 92nd District, Greenberg, and Mount Pleasant. Pre-K New York. Pre-K New York. We have paved New York. We've got build New York. Why not pre-K New York? For the last 7 years, the members of the Assembly majority have been leading the charge for pre-K New York. We've been talking to our partners in government. We've been talking to the press. We're talking to the public. We're talking to anyone who would listen. Finally, President Biden listened. He heard us. And last night he said, we need to build the infrastructure in this country. We need a strong foundation. And the foundation is roads, bridges, buildings, and children. That's what we've been saying. We want pre-K New York, just like we have paved New York and build New York. We all know the earlier you start early learning, the better the early learners become at learning. And that carries all the way through till you get to higher education. But there's another aspect to this as well, and that is socialization. We need to introduce kids to each other at a very early age, so they learn from each other, they feel comfortable with other people, and they start to assimilate. You talk about discrimination in society. You talk about the inability to deal with other cultures. You talk about the inability to understand some of the complexities of the world. Why? Because people get introduced at too late an age. They've got to start when they start to learn. And we all know that kids start to learn from the moment they're born. We want to put them in an environment which is stimulating. We want to give them professionals to help them learn at the earliest age possible. And we want to identify deficiencies in our educational system. And we want to identify those kids who have challenges and they may have autism, they may have visual impairments. We want to identify that as early as possible. And where do you identify that? You identify that at the moment and in the place where you first encounter a professional teacher, a professional guidance counselor, a professional educator like we have up here. So there are so many reasons why universal pre-K should not be New York City pre-K. It should be pre-K New York. It's our infrastructure, and we have to make sure that when those federal funds come through, they don't get diverted. And we have to make sure that we hold everyone to the promise that we are going to have universal pre-K within the next several years. The better the pre-K, the better the early learners, and the better the future of our community. That's why we're here. Thank you.